That Chip Kelly press conference before the Bears game was supposed to be the moment. The one where Raider fans finally got something. Clarity, honesty, maybe even a plan. Instead, what they got was a shrug in the form of coach speak. Another round of empty talk about execution and players needing to do their jobs better. Okay, fine. But where was the accountability for the scheme? Where was the urgency, the recognition that defenses have been diagnosing this offense before the ball is even snapped? The house is burning down, and Chip Kelly stood up there acting like all the team needs is a little tidying up. That's the problem. The vibe wasn't urgency, it was deflection. And when you combine that with what you see on tape, it becomes crystal clear. This isn't just about players missing blocks or receivers dropping balls. This is about design. This is about predictability. And when the man in charge of the offense won't even admit that, you can forget about fixing it. But here's the thing. This isn't only a Chip Kelly problem. As much as fans want to point the finger at him, and make no mistake, he deserves a big chunk of the blame, you can't tell this story without dragging Pete Carroll into it. Because at the end of the day, Chip works for Pete. Pete set this staff up. Pete defines the culture, the identity, and the philosophy. He decides who plays where, what kind of football this team wants to be. And right now, none of that is working. This doesn't look like a disciplined team. This doesn't look like a physical team. This doesn't look like a group on the same page. What it looks like is an offensive line that can't pass off stunts. A protection scheme that leaves Bobby Wagner running free through the A-gap twice in the same game. And players staring at each other after a busted assignment, pointing fingers like, I thought you had him. That's not just on Chip, that's leadership. That's culture. And that lands squarely on Pete Carroll's shoulders. Still, Chip's presser revealed a lot about where his head is. He was asked specifically about the lack of pre-snap motion, and instead of owning it, he brushed it off, saying the problem was execution. Come on. This is 2025. Every elite offense in the league uses motion. It's not some gimmick. It's the baseline. Motion forces defenses to reveal coverages, forces communication, creates hesitation in linebackers. It buys your quarterback information before the snap and slows down defenders who otherwise have a free runway. But Chip is calling the most static offense in football, lining up the same way snap after snap, giving defenses a green light to pin their ears back. That's not just conservative, it's malpractice. And when you're watching your running back fight for 3 yards a carry because every defender knows exactly where he's going, you can't keep blaming execution. And then there's Pete. His stubbornness is bleeding this team dry. Fans and media have been screaming about moving JPJ to center to stabilize the line. He won't even consider it. Why? Because he believes in consistency, in letting guys settle into one role. That sounds nice in theory, but what good is consistency if it consistently gets your quarterback smashed and your run game killed? At some point, consistency isn't stability, it's negligence. You can't hide behind buzzwords while the season slips away. Look back at the Washington game for proof. First play of the second drive, play action. Glaze doesn't take an aggressive enough set. The edge rusher bends the corner, Geno steps up, Glaze gets shed. Sack. Drive already in trouble. Second play, a win-back run for Genty. Kappa makes a solid block, but Wagner reads it like he's sitting in the huddle, flies over the top, blows it up. Third play, protection slides left. Meredith sticks too long, doesn't pass his man off. The stunt gets home, Geno's under duress, and meanwhile Trey Tucker is streaking wide open down the field. If Geno has even half a second more, that's 6 points. Instead, it's a check down and a punt. 3 plays, 3 opportunities wasted, not because of talent, but because of coaching. That's the story of this offense right now. Avoidable mistakes, predictable calls, and no accountability. Personnel issues make it worse, but even there, the coaching staff is letting the team down. Michael Mayer's in concussion protocol, Brock Bowers is limited by that massive knee brace, and Ian Thomas hasn't shown he can handle blocking at a high level. These are real problems, but good coaches adapt. The Colts, for example, have figured out ways to scheme their rookie tight end into success without exposing him. The Raiders? They keep lining up Bowers against defensive ends like he's George Kittle. That's not setting him up for success. That's setting him up to fail. And then you've got guys like Jack Beck and Dante Thornton. Thornton's a straight-line speed guy, a one-trick pony right now. Jack Beck, on the other hand, can work underneath, can bring some physicality, can complement Jacoby Myers. Yet he's barely on the field. Why? Why not maximize the pieces you do have? That's the essence of coaching. Putting players in positions to succeed, not forcing square pegs into round holes. The Raiders staff isn't adjusting. They're just stubbornly hoping things magically click. Now, with the Bears game on deck, the pressure is reaching a boiling point. This isn't Detroit or Minnesota. This is Chicago, a team that's still finding itself but is improving every week. Caleb Williams is settling in, trusting Ben Johnson's scheme, and just threw 4 touchdowns on Dallas. Now he gets a Raiders defense sitting back in predictable zones. That's a recipe for disaster. If Pete doesn't adjust, Caleb's going to light them up. He's going to look at a matchup like QB Blue Kelly and attack it without hesitation. He's going to test Devin White in coverage against tight ends. And if the pass rush doesn't get home, it's going to be a very long day for the Raiders defense. There is one glimmer of hope. Braxton Jones, the Bears' left tackle. He's a weak link. That's where Malcolm Koonce has to dominate. If he doesn't, then you move Max Crosby over there and let him feast. But here's the issue. Crosby has already doubled almost every snap, and he's still producing. He can't do it alone. Somebody else on that line has to win. If they don't, Caleb Williams will have all day to carve up this defense. On offense, it's even more straightforward. If the Raiders can't run the ball against this Bears defensive line, then the staff has no excuses left. Chicago's front has been bullied all season, giving up yards before contact like it's a charity event. If Genty can't find space this week, the problem isn't the players, it's the scheme. This is supposed to be the get-right game for the Raiders' ground attack. If it doesn't happen now, when will it? So who's really to blame for this mess? Is it Chip Kelly for his stale play calling? Or is it Pete Carroll for his outdated philosophy and refusal to adapt? The truth is, it's both. Chip's schemes lack creativity. Pete's stubbornness blocks solutions. Together, they've built an offense stuck in the past while the rest of the league evolves. Defenses aren't afraid of the Raiders because they don't have to be. They know what's coming. They know the protections will break down. They know the run game is lifeless. Until someone in charge admits it and makes a change, nothing changes, and that's the hardest truth for Raider fans to face. If nothing changes, this season is already lost. You'll see the same protection breakdowns, the same static looks, the same wasted possessions. And come November, you'll be wondering how a team with this much talent managed to waste it all. That's the cost of denial. That's the price of stubbornness. So when people ask, who's responsible for this? The answer isn't one name. It's both Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll. Because right now, the Raiders don't just have a scheme problem or a culture problem. They have both. And until one of those men takes responsibility and does something about it, this offense will stay broken.